Have you ever had thoughts that start with the words, if only? Have you ever been in a place where you would give anything to go back? If you could make a different decision, if you could have a portal where you would just be able to walk through it and talk to yourself, even for just 10 minutes, to choose something different. Well, this has been a huge year I've struggled with regret. I have had regret because I wish I would have made a different medical decision for my husband. My husband, Tim, has a very rare brain condition and a VP shunt, which has to be replaced every 10 years. We had one put in, and it was just a little longer down the road where we began to know bizarre symptoms and had suspicion something was wrong. I thought it was a shunt failure since I'd seen it for years. What turned into just a few headaches turned into days of forgetfulness and being unable to function as I watched him get worse and worse. I began to suspect something more was wrong and asked about the shunt, but I kept getting reassurance it can't be that because we've already replaced it. We did all kinds of exploratory procedures, all the while wondering, and I recognized it because I've lived with this for 20 years with him. After months of no improvement, the conclusion was the only option was to do surgery to investigate the shunt, and it turned out it was broken. And because it was broken, it had put pressure on Tim's brain for months, leaving tons of damage, and our lives have been changed drastically. He now has permanent brain damage and has resulted in him no longer being able to work, no longer be able to live the way he did. He has to take 3 naps a day. He has emotional swings, and our life has been altered. And I can't tell you how many times I go back and wish I had told myself, you know what's wrong. Have confidence, make more demands, be more outspoken. And every day that we face daily challenges, I wish I could go back. And every day he struggles and has the inability to work. I have a hard time not saying the words, if only. I still get emotional thinking about it. And in mankind, he breathed his own breath, giving each person a piece of himself, who he is. But do you realize it's only 5 chapters later where he said, and we read these words, the Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he'd made human beings on the earth. His heart was deeply troubled. I regret I made them. That's in Genesis 6, 5-6 and 7b. Troubled and regretful. God knows all things, including the future. So this passage cannot mean that God made a mistake. Instead, what it suggests is that God mentally knew what would happen. His logic when creating just the 5 chapters previous was not built on a misconception. He knew the cost and he knew the benefit, and he made the decision. Here, we see that his emotions were weakened when he came to a place where humans had indeed become so troublesome and evil that it hurt him. It hurt God. God didn't make a terrible decision. Now he addressed it using the flood. He was going to bring destruction in order to cleanse the world. And it's incredible how we see these go together, destruction and cleansing. I mean, he'd start again with Noah and rebuild, but have you ever noticed that after the flood ends and Noah comes off the ark, it doesn't say evil ended. It doesn't say that when everything began again, it would be perfect and human hearts had gotten healthier. In fact, there's evidence to suggest that things were not going to be easier, because after the flood, something curious happens. God places a reminder to never flood the earth again by putting a rainbow in the sky. So God seems to be saying that he knows the feeling of regret will come back, because the passage said that the human heart is evil all the time. But God decided in his logic to bring himself a reminder that when the regret comes, he would use a physical object to remind him of his spiritual truth, that the feeling of regret does not indicate a wrong choice. It's an emotion born out of hurt. I'm not saying you won't do things you regret that were a wrong choice, but perhaps God knew what was coming, and he knew that you were going to need reminders that he's still in control. So regret is not an indication that what has happened was wrong in your story. Just because you feel that emotion of regret isn't proof that you are in the wrong place. It just means something's hard to accept. And someone could make a case that God could be blamed for evil because he created humans who did evil. But what God shows in his ability to move forward through the pain is that it's okay to acknowledge regret. It's okay to feel sad that something happened. But regret doesn't have to be the end of your story, because cleansing happens when we acknowledge that we might have to wipe things clean in our heart. We might have to cleanse ourselves of what we assumed would be, We might have to wipe away what we decided was best. We might have to learn to accept something that can only be okay in the hope that there is a plan. The answer for regret is the good news that God is in the if only moments, and the true wording of our thoughts need to go from if only to only God. Only God knows why. God must know why my husband and I are on this new path. And I still get emotional when I think about it. If Tim was meant to be saved from this harm, he would have been. God doesn't think like I do. What I see as bad and wrong, he makes right. And so the gospel application is that a God who loves so deeply to die for you won't forget you. He won't drop the pen and mess up the story. And that's what I have to keep telling myself. And so every day as I live in the if only moments, I have to change it to only God. And do you want to hear something beautiful? It's my husband who taught me that phrase, only God. And so my encouragement is, if you're experiencing regret, please don't let it own you. Don't let it stop you from accepting what you're going through and changing your thoughts to only God. Let me pray for you. Jesus, I just pray over my listener. Lord, I wish I was with them right now to just hold their hand, hug them, and let them know that whatever they're going through, I don't doubt that it's hard. And I don't doubt that they're replaying things over and over in their head. But God, I ask you, I plead with you to help them see that only you can get them through this, that you've had that feeling of regret, and you had to move forward by finding cleansing, renewal, even physical reminders that the story isn't done and that there are good things coming. And so, Jesus, I pray that those if only thoughts would change to only God. So please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I want to follow with you. I want to be with you and encourage you. And I learn so much from the people I get to interact with. So I would love to see you more, and I look forward to sharing more emotions with you. I think next up, let's talk about fear.